Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Sharice. I help Black men and women heal from trauma and toxic relationships. And today I wanted to help some women move out of a victim mindset, out of a scarcity mindset to embracing more abundance. I think I'm going to use some comments that I got on one of my last videos to contextualize what it might look like if you shift out of this dynamic. But first, I want to give you a couple definitions. And I recently heard somebody use the term learned helplessness, which I haven't thought about in a long time, right? A lot of my psychology knowledge has been incorporated as like a foundation for how I understand humans and the specific terms and concepts, because I don't teach them. I don't teach in real life. And I'm not teaching those specific terms here because I don't think that they're particularly helpful. I want you to get the whole concept of framing your life in a way that serves you. And yeah, I'm not a psychology channel, so I don't really teach it. But I do think it's helpful to share some of this here because it is very pertinent to what I want to talk about. And so learned helplessness is a psychological state where an individual loses the motivation to avoid negative or harmful situations because they have repeatedly experienced uncontrollable events. Now, in psychology, I had to memorize a whole bunch of research studies, and the specific one that this term was coined under was around rats who were being electrocuted, and they just learned to give up trying to get away from the electrocution because it's going to happen anyway. Like, there's nothing I can do, so I might as well just take it. This is also something that has been seen in children who are in traumatic environments, like unpredictable, abusive environments, where no matter what they do, like they cannot predict or control the outbursts of an unpredictable adult. And so they kind of just learn to just whatever happens. Now, these people I've seen in my real life because I specialize in trauma, in helping people get out of this toxic cycle. Because what often happens is that familiarity with trauma, abuse, dysfunction means that they are drawn to it, or the people that attract those kind of situations, those people who learn helplessness are drawn to it. So they often repeat those experiences. That's how you have one woman who's never been raped and another woman who's been raped 3 or 4 times, right? It's not that it's not common. It's quite common for a woman to be almost raped. I don't know what are the statistics around rape. 20% of women, right? 1 in 3, something like that. It's pretty high, but a lot of women have never been raped, right? Most women have never been raped. So when you have one woman who's had this experience multiple times, we have to say something is going on there. And so I think it's important for you to understand, if this is your first video of me, that I don't victim blame over here. I love women. Black women are my favorite. And my goal is to help people unlearn patterns that are harmful to themselves. So this specifically is not about shaming people. It's about holding people accountable and helping them move out of a dysfunction that really has never worked for them, kept them, in survival mode, right? The goal was to survive in that environment, but now you don't have to just survive. You can actually thrive. Part of that does mean doing things differently. So the terminology that I usually use when I'm talking about this is a victim mindset, which is a persistent attitude of feeling powerless and blaming external circumstances or others for one's problems, which prevents personal responsibility and positive change, i.e., Tamar Braxton. But I'm not talking about her. I just want you to be able to conceptualize this. And I had something else. Okay, weight, money, relationships, career. One or more of those things might be something you've given up on, right? Like, there's nothing I can do about my weight. Don't you understand that there are food deserts and they put stuff in our food that make us fat? Like, there's absolutely nothing I could do about my weight. Victim mentality. I've been single my whole life. I've done everything. There's nothing I can do to make a man want me. I mean, you can make him want you, but there's nothing I can do to get into a relationship. Everything is, this is the end for me. I'm going to be single forever. Victim mindset. Career or money. The government is set up against us. As a Black person, everything is 10 times harder for us. Like, there's no way to be successful. I've tried everything, and every opportunity I get, it falls away. Like, I can't get any money. There's no way for me to make money. I'm poor, and I'm never going to get out of poverty, etc., etc. Victim mindset. Because, of course, there is always a way. There is always a way. Now, you have to do things in a specific way if you want to see improvement, but I promise you, there is always a way. If there is a problem you have, there is a person who's experienced it and overcome it with less than you. We are not the first humans. We've been like a couple millennia on here. There's nothing new under the sun. Whatever problem you have, whatever depression you have, whatever poverty you've experienced, somebody has had it worse than you and been able to overcome it. Now, that is not to shame you. I am hoping that you feel inspired by this, that you don't let it overcome you as, oh my God, somebody would listen to me. No, again, that's the victim mindset. Part of that needs to shift so that you can feel more empowered to do the things that are important to you. What do you really want from this lifetime? Figure out who has done it before you and look at their blueprint for getting what it is that you want. So I want to talk to you about the comments that I received, because the audacity. The first one said, another tone deaf dating advice that can't apply to Steph in any way. This is on my video that I did that wasn't really about Steph, but was inspired by Steph. Steph. I forget how her YouTube channel goes, about it's not your fault you're single, but right, that there are things that a person can do if you're single and you don't want to be single. There are things you can do to get into a relationship. Now, even if you do everything right, doesn't guarantee that you'll be in a relationship, but you probably be more at peace than not if there are still things you haven't done that you should probably employ. And that's what I was talking about in my video. This person is saying that I'm tone deaf because she wants to date but keeps saying she's running into no one that is giving the energy back to her, which is very hard for me to believe. All this advice means nothing when someone does not want to date you back. I think people miss the whole point of what she is saying and put the blame on her. I don't blame women. I'm focused on the accountability part, that there is something you're doing here that's contributing to this experience that you're having, because there are lots of women who have less than you, who are less pretty than you, who have what you want. What are they doing differently than what you are doing? You might not be a good person. You might feel like you're a good person, but you might not be a good person. And all of that can be improved upon if you admit to it, right? You get out of the denial and you say you want to do things differently. I think people miss the whole point of what she is saying and put the blame on her, because only if she listens to you, she will be set free, right? She will go out there and find a bunch of men crawling on all four for her. Well, I didn't know that your words were that transformative. Well, I love the word transformative because it's literally what I do in therapy with my clients. One of my proudest moments was somebody who was like moderate to severe anxiety, not being anxious anymore. Her whole life was transformed. And I was just so impressed at the things that she employed based on my feedback to change her whole life. Do you understand what it's like to be like crippling anxiety and then to feel so free that you can do whatever it is that you want in life? Like, you can continue to design your life in the way that it is. So I know it can be done. I know it can be done. The dramatics about men crawling on all four, I think all of that is just emotional, because she probably identifies with Steph and feels like maybe she, in other areas of her life, maybe not with dating, but other areas of her life, can't change a particular thing about herself, when we have options for things that we can do. And I think my response to this was, you can't help people. I didn't make a video for Steph, and you can't help people that don't want to be helped, right? This is why I'm following this up with a victim mindset video, that any woman out there who feels like, I should just give up. Like, what is even the point? I've tried everything. That I'm encouraging you to consider that you haven't tried everything. And maybe if you shift some of your thinking and do different actions, that you will get different results. I am not a toxic positivity person. And even though I practice manifestation, I do not really encourage manifestation work for this kind of thing. I think specifically working on shifting your mindset from it will never happen for me to maybe it could happen if XYZ. Maybe that you open yourself up to the possibility that everything that you ever wanted and dreamed of in your life can become a reality for you. Because why not? Why not you? Why not you? Because you've been through difficult things. Lots of people have been through difficult things. Why not you? I think you deserve it. I think you can become the person that you want to be to get these things. One step at a time. This is one video on my channel. I have lots and lots of other videos that will help break you down. I'm not trying to break you down, girl. God can break you down to build you back up. But I'm breaking down how to get what it is that you want in a lot of my other videos that focus on how to increase your peace and joy. It's really about doing things in a specific way. And then the same lady, commented again. She said, I think what people fail to understand is that how can you practice dating when no one wants to date you? Which doesn't make sense. Okay. You can give out all the freaking advice you want, but if there is no one there for you to put these tips into practice, then exactly how are you learning? It takes two people to want to date, but if there is no one there in line for you, how exactly can you date then? All this is advice is for people that can get dates, not for people who want to date but can't. You're missing the bigger picture. And one of the strange things about this is Steph has so many dating stories. She has dated. She has so many stories about men who didn't treat her well or weren't that interested in her, but she's been on dates, right? She's had that experience. When in my real life, when I look at women in my life who have been single a very long time or single and they don't want to be single because I know the intricacies of their life, I know exactly why. There's a reason why. Now, I don't think any of these women would say what, Steph has said about dating, or I don't even think that this person commenting really captures what Steph says, because I don't think Steph says she can't get dates. I think she said, like, she can't get a man to commit to her, which I think is a different framing. How do you pick a man that actually wants to be with you? Well, you pick a man that actually wants to be with you. How do you do that is a different question than if there's nobody to want to date you. Because she's had sex, right? There are women who've never had sex. Like, she's been sexual with men. She's been able to invite men back to her place. Like, she's had some extensive dating experience. So, well, maybe not extensive. I've had extensive dating experience. She's had some experiences with men. And my response to this is very much like, I promise you, there are things that you're doing that are getting in the way of you getting the results that you want. But you have to say, maybe part of it is me, right? And I would never argue down about trash men. There are so many trash men out here. There are so many men who just want sex. There are so many men who are not fit to be in a relationship. There are so many men. The goal then is to figure out which man is the one that would be a good fit for you to at least have a relationship experience. I would love for people to at least have the experience of being a girlfriend for a year, 2 years, than to feel like you never had the experience. And wouldn't that be nice to be with a person who really enjoys you, who you feel like is a good fit for you, but maybe as time goes on, you realize it's not a good fit? I think that's a much better story for yourself, right? To be able to have that experience, to know what it's like, versus nobody wants to be with me. So that's it. Nobody wants to be with you, girl. Nobody wants to be. I think the men you are interested in don't want to be with you. But what about these other men? Why aren't you interested in them? And there's always, when you get to know these women behind the scenes, when you get to see how they do their life, like, you really figure out, like, okay, there was this guy and this guy. Even if the woman is saying to you, there's literally zero men were interested in me and wanted to make me their girlfriend. And it's just never true. It's just never true. But it's a reality to them. That's their perceived reality. And so I'm inviting you to consider, I feel like nobody does this, right? Like, nobody wants to promote me, or, nobody wants to teach me about finance, whatever it is for you that you add an absolute to, like zero of this, or never, always, that you pause for a second and consider that maybe it's not all the time, that maybe there is something you could do differently to get what you want. Someone else said, let's just stop mentioning her. People have been telling her for years that she's the common denominator and that she needs to do inner and outer work. She doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't like criticism, even when it's constructive, but she sure does love the sympathy and the pity she receives off of oversharing. She's shown time and time again that she doesn't want to change, and she's already in her 40s. People become more set in their ways the older they get, and she seems very set in her beliefs. I really do feel like she doesn't think she's part of the problem, and that it's everyone else, when really she has low self-worth and doesn't value herself at all. And men pick up on that from her instantly. Like they say, don't save them. They don't want to be saved. And this whole comment I agree with. And so I'll use Tamar as an example, because people, more than ever, honestly, I've been saying forever that it takes two toxic people to be in a toxic relationship. I feel like, oh my God, you're victim blaming, and she didn't want to be abused. And I'm not saying anybody wants to be abused. I'm saying that a woman, even in a toxic or abusive relationship, plays a role in the dynamic or the cycle continuing. And because reality TV, I think, has been going on for so long, it is much more documented how women contribute to these negative cycles in relationships. And Tamar, she's a celebrity, so I feel like more comfortable talking about her than Steph. It is much easier to see how the history of Tamar's relationships, the men she's become public with, from Vince, people were saying Vince was physically abusive to her. I watched their reality show and saw their toxic dynamic. I was like, oh my God, this is so disturbing. And then when she brought on, I think it's the Jamaican man, I forget, and how a lot of their relationship was fueled by sex, which I talk about in my book, Women, not my book, the book I love, Women Who Love Too Much, and how sex often fuels, like really, really good sex is not that good. It's just that all the pain, frustration, pent up feelings are put into sex, making it feel euphoric. And so that keeps people coming back to the relationship. To then her relationship with JR, you could see from a mile away. This man had 5 different children by 3 women or something like that. Why are you even interested in him? Then he goes on, embarrasses you in public, right? Talking about eating somebody's booty hole, your ops, to put it at that. And then you still come back with him, buy him expensive jewelry. Like, we can see how this person is a part of the problem. Now, if you ask Tamar, huh, why are people doing this to me? Right? She literally is starting fires, but she's like, oh my God, I can't believe this, all these fires here. I can't believe this problem is here. I can't believe you have a problem with me. This is just the way I am. This is just right. This is just the way she is. But we can look at it from the outside. That girl, if you could find some inner peace, you probably say no to a lot of these people. So I paid close attention to, I like Funky Dineva. I paid close attention to that whole dynamic that happened with them there. I'm not surprised that either one of them were involved in this, or that people ran with a fantasy. People ran with a made up story about how harmful Funky Dineva was to her, because, he borders on toxic, right? He's friends with her. God, toxic, similar in romantic, in friendships. Like, you need 2 toxic people for this friendship to be maintained, right? Very similar energy vibed people. And so if you are getting the result of no one wants to commit to me, I don't know if you commit to yourself. I don't know, right? I don't know people personally. I can just tell you what trends and patterns are, and the energy that our person has is reflected in the way that their life is. What do you really want? Right? You're telling me you want to be in a relationship. Are you doing relationship minded things? Have you exhausted all resources? Because a lot of people will say, I want to be in a relationship and I've done everything, but you've never hired a relationship coach. Well, I think they're all scammers. Okay. That is a perspective. You are allowed to have that perspective, but then don't tell me that you've done everything, because you haven't. Like, you literally haven't. And you've seen that other people have gotten results. There are other people that talk very favorably about dating coaches, whether they just listen to the person online, try to practice the things in their own life, or you even listen to me. I try not to give like relationship advice or, dating advice per se. I talk about strategies I think that are helpful for people who have a similar background as me, but I mostly talk about how to change your mindset, how to get what you want from life in general. And relationships is just one part of your life. Like, there's so much other life to live that you don't even have to prioritize romantic relationships. Now, if you've never had it, I can completely understand why it would be an important thing to experience, because there's nothing like it. Like, there's nothing like it. Not even the love of God. I swear, there's nothing like it. It's another way to experience yourself and your humanity in the loving arms of someone else. So I get it. But you have to focus on the way that you interact with the world. Are you a pleasant person to be around? Are you just being negative? Let's go to the negative comment. Regarding the commenter that called you negative about something you can change, this is a comment that was under one of Steph's videos. And I don't know. I don't really know the context for all of it. I don't watch her content like that. It was something I saw. When I saw it, I was inspired to make a video about it. These videos are not about her, but specifically for women who want to change their mindset from scarcity, lack, fear-based victim mindset, right? So there was something about people calling her negative. I don't think I would call her negative, but victim mindset, I think it fits mostly for her. And so I can understand why someone would frame that as her being negative. It's more like defeatist, or like we talked about in the beginning, learned helplessness, that I've done everything, nothing's working, so I'm not going to try anything different. It's sort of like that. I think when somebody's saying that you are being negative. She said, I've learned that people are always looking for some way to invalidate your pain or experience. They're talking to Steph. Somebody is always looking for some way to invalidate your pain or experience to protect themselves from that very same pain or experience. They need to believe that there is something you did or didn't do to lead you to this reality, something that they can avoid should they someday find themselves on the same path. They have to construct a story in which this can't happen to them, that they can completely control their fate. It's a fear based response that manifests itself as hate and violence toward the truth sayer. Now, this comment is fascinating to me because most people write so poorly on the internet. This was so well articulated. But remember, I've talked, if you're not new to my channel, right? I've talked with y'all about how there are millionaires who are unhappy. Like there are really smart people who are unhappy. There are people who intellectualize their trauma and their pain, and they can articulate it in such a profound way, but all that's under there is pain still, because this person is encouraging, I'm not saying she's negative, right, but encouraging a person to stay negative because you don't know the truth, right? This is more along the lines of like the conspiracy theorists. Like some of the smartest people are conspiracy theorists, but under conspiracy theories is fear and people trying to figure out, how do I remove the fear? Okay, what do I feel like I can be in control of, right? That we don't have control, but I know this information that you don't know, and this is the truth, and you just don't believe it. I say anything you get from me, anything you get from other people, I want you to put it through the lens of, do you think it will be helpful or not? Do you think it's loving or not? Do you think I'm being loving? Do you think this comment was loving? Is this comment a loving comment? Is anyone's life improved if we take the advice of this comment? Or are people being encouraged to stay stagnant? I hope that the prevailing message that you can receive from me is that I move with love. I move in the direction of people getting what they want from life. I'm not saying you should just lay down and die. Oh, because I'm Black, everything is always going to be so hard for me. Right? That's just one example. I think there are lots of ways that you can live a life where the truth is closer to peace, joy. The truth of your life is balance. There's always something else that we can do to make our lives easier. And so I don't feel like this comment, even though they just said it so beautifully, is saying anything that would make anyone's life easier. I think they're saying in a fancy way, give up. You just don't want to give up because you don't want to hear the truth. I don't think you have to give up your dreams and goals. I don't think that's the truth. I do think that we can control our fate. And there are a lot of things that are outside of our control, but there are a lot of things that we can do differently in our lives if we really want to move towards abundance. And abundance is a frequency, energy. You can feel it. Abundance is a mindset that you believe and know. This is the Abraham. Well, I was practicing this before Abraham Hicks. I don't remember who I was following before that talked about mindset before Abraham Hicks. I don't remember. I'll have to really think about that. But I like the way she talks about framing your thinking that anything is possible for you. For you, anything is possible for you. And for me, the God, right? Because I'm a Jesus lover. I'm not Christian, but I'm a Jesus lover. I do believe the quote that there's, well, I have an abundance mindset, so of course I would believe it. But my life hasn't been easy. I'll do another video on that. Y'all think you're the only ones rejected by men. I do believe the quote that says, there is nothing that God will put on your heart that you cannot achieve in this lifetime, that you cannot make a reality, that whatever dreams and hopes that you have for your life, you can have in this life. You can have it now, here on earth. I believe you can have it. Do you? Or do you want to believe? Do you need to go to therapy to work on that? You need to practice gratitude to focus on the things that you do have, the beautiful parts about your life that have just become kind of routine for you. That's the focus. That's what helps shift you into thinking that anything you want can be yours. Anything you want can be yours. And there's a person saying, that's not true. That's not true. I want to be a millionaire and I can't. Why you can't be a millionaire? If you want to, I don't see why you can't. Many have done it before. Why can't you? Why not you? You got to do things in a certain way. You listen to millionaires. That's what all the self-help books are. You find a person who's written the blueprint for what it is that you want and you follow it. If you don't go to the person that's written the blueprint and do what they did, I don't expect you to get the same results. In fact, I expect you to get nothing. That's my take on mindset, victim mindset. Come on over to an abundance mindset. You can live with joy. You can live with more peace. You can have ease in your life. You can really like yourself and like your life and love what you've created. And maybe that includes a relationship too. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. Look at other videos on my channel. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And thank you for watching.